Jamie Miller, arresting you on suspicion of murder.
Hey there, welcome to the recap of Adolescence. Let's dive in. The story begins with D.I. Luke Bascom and D.S. Misha Frank on their morning patrol, sharing a laugh about Bascom's son trying to skip school. Their light-hearted moment is interrupted by a report, leading them and a squad of officers to storm into the Miller household. Their target? Jamie Miller, a 13-year-old boy accused of murder. Chaos erupts as officers break down the door and ransack the house for evidence, leaving Jamie's family in shock. But while the police are forceful with the search, they treat Jamie gently, explaining his rights as he suffers a breakdown. His parents are convinced it's all a mistake. However, Jamie's request for his father, Eddie, to be his supervising adult raises questions, particularly for Bascom, who recalls an old case of a dad abusing his son, though Misha dismisses his concerns. A psychiatrist evaluates Jamie, noting that he is intelligent and perceptive. Bascom arranges for court-appointed solicitor Paul Barlow to represent him. The details of the case emerge. Katie Leonard was murdered at 10:13 p.m. the previous night. Jamie has scratches on his arms, and blood was found at the crime scene. However, when Paul tries to get more information, Bascom remains tight-lipped. Jamie stays composed during a medical checkup, but Eddie is visibly distressed when the police insist on a full-body examination. Paul warns that refusing could weaken Jamie's defense, leaving them no choice. As they prepare for questioning, Paul advises Jamie to answer no comment whenever he is uncertain. Eddie privately asks his son for the truth, and Jamie insists on his innocence, relieved that his father believes him. During the interrogation, Jamie follows Paul's advice, refusing to answer until the detectives bring up his Instagram activity. It's revealed that Jamie had a troubled past at school, despite being intelligent. His account contains photos of models with aggressive innuendos. He was often seen with his friends Ryan and Tommy, a trio known for always being together. Then, the evidence mounts. Jamie's shoe was found at the crime scene. When the detectives mention Katie Leonard, Jamie's reaction is telling. He immediately asks if she's dead. Bascom takes note, while Frank wonders if something sexual was going on between them. Jamie denies it, insisting he didn't even consider Katie a friend. The police press him further. Katie's body was found at Crowther's car park at 10:30 p.m., and CCTV footage shows Jamie wearing the same sneakers found at the scene. A photo places Jamie with his friends earlier that evening, but after parting ways, he took an unexplained hour to get home. When asked about his arrival time, Jamie claims he doesn't remember. Eddie, who was on a call at the time, is unable to confirm it either. As the detectives describe the brutal nature of Katie's murder, 7 stab wounds, Jamie's resolve begins to crack. Paul requests a break, but Eddie insists they push through. Then comes the devastating evidence, the car park CCTV footage. It captures a confrontation. Katie pushes Jamie, he grabs her, throws her to the ground, and stabbing motions are clearly visible. Eddie's world crumbles. The reality of his son's crime is undeniable. He breaks down, overwhelmed by grief, and ultimately, in a moment of pure devastation, embraces his son, knowing their lives will never be the same again. The police visit Jamie's school, where a memorial for Katie Leonard has been set up with flowers and messages from grieving students. Among the crowd, Jamie's friends, Tommy and Ryan, look visibly anxious. Ryan, in particular, keeps asking about the murder and the missing knife, clearly rattled. Tommy, under strict instructions from his parents, refuses to discuss anything, but Ryan is reluctant to let Jamie take the fall alone. Nearby, D.I. Luke Bascom's son, Adam, faces bullying from a classmate named Fredo. As the officers speak to the staff, the teachers appear indifferent. They dismiss parents' concerns about student safety since the crime happened outside the school, and scoff at suggestions like metal detectors or therapy sessions for the students. The police question Katie's best friend, Jade, about her relationship with Jamie. They point out that Katie had left comments on Jamie's social media, implying a possible connection. Jade, outraged, snaps at them. Why investigate further when there's already CCTV footage? But Bascom insists they still lack key evidence, the murder weapon, and a clear motive. Frustrated, Jade storms off. However, her reaction raises Bascom's suspicions. She claimed Jamie and Katie weren't friends, yet Katie interacted with Jamie online. The detectives theorize that Jamie might have hidden the murder weapon at school since CCTV footage captured him passing by that night. Before they can investigate further, the school's fire alarm suddenly goes off. When questioned about Jamie's emotional state in class, his teacher, Mr. Malik, is clueless. He claims he's just there to teach, not to know his students personally. Outside, tensions explode when Jade confronts Ryan, accusing him of being a murderer. A scuffle breaks out, and in the chaos, Tommy runs off. Seeing the turmoil, the police pull Ryan aside for questioning. Bascom bonds with him, reminiscing about his own school days. Ryan, intrigued, asks if Bascom was popular with girls. The detective plays along, but the moment he tries to discuss the murder's motive, Ryan shuts down and leaves the sickbay. Jade's teacher informs her that her mother has been called about the fight. This devastates Jade, As she has a strained relationship with her mother, Katie was the only person who truly understood her. The teacher suggests therapy, but Jade, feeling unheard, runs off. Nearby, Adam cautiously approaches his father. Their relationship is distant, but Adam finally speaks up, criticizing Bascom's assumption that Katie and Jamie were friends based on social media interactions. He explains that Katie's seemingly friendly comments actually had a hidden meaning, one that his father failed to see. The dynamite emoji she used wasn't a compliment. It was a cruel joke, mocking Jamie as an incel who would die a virgin. In reality, Katie was cyberbullying Jamie. Bascom struggles to accept this, prompting Adam to lash out in frustration. Realizing his son might be experiencing similar bullying, Bascom tries to comfort him. But Adam, unaccustomed to his father's concern, awkwardly distances himself. He reveals that he avoids social media altogether before walking away. Bascom shares the revelation with DS Misha Frank, who is stunned. The two detectives reflect on the troubling environment at the school, the unchecked bullying, apathetic teachers, and aggressive students. Frank laments how victims like Katie are often sidelined in investigations, while society fixates on the killer. Bascom counters that understanding the motive is what brings closure to the victims' families. Determined to uncover the full story, Bascom approaches Ryan again. But this time, Ryan panics and runs. Bascom chases him down the street and finally corners him. Under pressure, Ryan cracks. He confesses that the knife belonged to him, and Jamie was only supposed to scare Katie, not kill her. With this revelation, Ryan is immediately arrested for conspiracy to murder. Having reached the final piece of the puzzle, Bascom makes the call. Jamie Miller is officially charged with murder. As the chaos settles, Bascom makes a rare emotional gesture toward Adam, telling him he wants to spend more time together and that he loves him. Though hesitant, Adam agrees to a meal, and the two share a light-hearted banter as they leave. In the parking lot, Eddie Miller silently places a bouquet of flowers at the spot where Katie's body was found, a quiet act of sorrow for the girl whose death shattered so many lives. 7 months later, Jamie Miller has been cycled through multiple therapists, struggling to adjust to life in a juvenile training center. His latest therapist, Bryony, seems to be making some progress, as their sessions are more relaxed and playful than before. However, when she arrives for their next session, she learns that Jamie has been in a fight with another inmate. To ease him into talking, she brings his favorite food and drink, and the session starts off well. Bryony subtly guides the conversation by talking about their grandparents, before shifting to the men in Jamie's family. He quickly catches on to her tactic, accusing her of trying to trick him into opening up. She reassures him that she's on his side. Her report will help the judge understand him and his motives better. As the conversation unfolds, it becomes clear that Jamie is emotionally unstable. His moods shift unpredictably, moving from playful to sarcastic and then to outright hostile. He grows agitated when she brings up his father, Eddie, and the fight he was in. Bryony finally reveals her real objective. She wants to understand Jamie's perception of masculinity. In their exchange, he admits that his father has an anger problem, but insists it only escalated once. Jamie believes Bryony is trying to get his father into trouble, but he does share one of their tense moments. Eddie often takes him to play football and feels ashamed whenever Jamie makes mistakes. Expecting Bryony to dismiss his father's shame, Jamie is caught off guard when she doesn't. Not knowing how to read her unsettles him, and he lashes out, hurling cruel remarks at her. But Bryony doesn't react, frustrating him further. Jamie then expresses his frustration about being in limbo, stuck in a training center instead of either going home or being fully imprisoned. He insists that he would accept his punishment if he were actually guilty. His anger spirals till the guards intervene. After cooling down, he apologizes and asks for another drink. Bryony maintains a calm front, but once outside, she is visibly shaken. She reviews the CCTV footage of their session with a corrections officer, who asks if she can determine anything from Jamie's body language. When she notices Jamie's abashed expression after his outburst, she changes tactics, going on the offensive. Barging back in, Bryony makes it clear that Jamie's case is her priority, and she won't let him derail it. Though apologetic at first, Jamie grows defensive again when she asks about his father's treatment of his mother. Switching approaches, she asks about his views on women and friendships. Jamie immediately clarifies that he isn't gay. Bryony presses further, asking him to describe an ideal date night. He paints a simple picture, a movie followed by a makeout session, and falsely claims he has experience with girls before admitting the truth. In his rambling, Jamie accidentally reveals a crucial piece of information. Katie's nudes were leaked. He explains that she sent it to a classmate named Fidget who she likes. He then shares with other boys at school. Bryony then steers the conversation towards self-perception, asking Jamie why he sees himself as ugly. Expecting her to reassure him, he's thrown off when she instead tells him she's not here to debate the truth, only to understand why he feels that way. This sets him off again, and in his rant he slips up, revealing that his previous therapist had been much easier because they helped him understand what he did. Realizing he's just made a confession, he panics. Jamie immediately backtracks, accusing Bryony of twisting his words. He becomes erratic, getting in her face and trying to intimidate her. For a moment, he seems completely unhinged. Bryony is rattled but manages to calm him by acknowledging the bullying he and his friends endured. As the session continues, Bryony asks why Jamie has an Instagram account if he rarely posts photos of himself. He explains that he uses it mostly to look at other profiles. She brings up Katie's comments but accidentally mentions Facebook instead of Instagram. Sensing her exhaustion, Jamie mocks her, but then he refocuses and elaborates on the incel comments, insisting he doesn't identify with that ideology. Finally, Bryony asks the big question: why did Katie target him? Jamie taunts her, then lays out the truth. After Katie's nudes were leaked, he tried to apologize and asked her out. He hoped that with everyone mocking her, she'd be desperate for some positive attention and give him a chance. Instead, she laughed in his face and began cyberbullying him. In a chilling moment, Jamie admits that on the night of her murder, he could have sexually assaulted Katie, but he didn't. Bryony's expression darkens. Jamie quickly backtracks, insisting he didn't mean what he said. She remains firm, pressing him to understand the weight of what he did and the severity of murder. Then, she delivers the final blow. It's their last session together. Panic sets in. Jamie desperately asks if Bryony likes him, pleading with her not to tell them what he did. As reality sinks in, he completely unravels, screaming and banging on the walls as the guards drag him away. Bryony is visibly shaken. Overwhelmed by the weight of the session, she struggles to process everything she's just uncovered. 13 months after Jamie's arrest, his family struggles to find normalcy as Eddie Miller celebrates his 50th birthday. His wife, Amanda, lovingly prepares breakfast, and their bond seems strong despite the unspoken tension. Jamie sends a card with a drawing of Eddie, which he looks at fondly, a brief moment of warmth before their day takes a turn for the worse. Their van is vandalized with a slur accusing Eddie of being a pedophile. The neighbors refuse to help identify the culprits, and while Eddie tries to ignore it, Amanda forces him to confront reality. Jamie's trial is in 4 weeks. The lack of public information about the case has made the community restless, leading to hostility toward their family. Amanda suggests moving to Liverpool to escape the scrutiny, but Eddie refuses, lashing out in frustration, insisting they haven't done anything wrong. Lisa, their eldest daughter, is also upset but struggles with the unfairness of it all. Jamie made a mistake, but Eddie is innocent. As Eddie tries to scrub off the graffiti, a group of teenage boys, the likely culprits, mock him while cycling past. Their taunts push him to his breaking point. As he can't go to work with the graffiti on his van, he decides to go to the store and get something to clean it off. He refuses to leave his wife and daughter at home, and they all drive to the store, trying to lift Lisa's spirits. They discuss going to the cinema later and end up reminiscing about their youth. Amanda fondly recalls how Eddie used to love dancing and never cared what people thought, and how he would make her laugh. However, their temporary escape is shattered when a store employee recognizes Eddie, claiming Jamie has been framed. The reminder of their reality unsettles Eddie, who becomes fixated on fixing the van immediately. When he sees the same boys again, he grabs one in anger, roughing him up before ultimately letting him go. Frustrated, he impulsively throws paint over the graffiti, causing a public scene before a security guard intervenes. As the family drives home, Jamie calls to wish Eddie a happy birthday. But instead of the usual small talk, he announces that he plans to plead guilty, confirming his role in Katie's murder. Eddie is stunned into silence, unable to process the confession. Amanda steps in, trying to fill the silence, while Lisa fights back tears. Jamie, completely oblivious to how shattered they are, awkwardly chats with them before hanging up. At home, Eddie numbly prepares for the cinema, pretending everything is fine, but Amanda refuses to let him ignore reality. Their grief erupts into a painful argument. Eddie clings to denial, unable to accept that his son is a murderer, while Amanda blames herself for not recognizing the warning signs. As they spiral into guilt and blame, they both comment each other as great parents. Eddie reveals his dad used to hit him, and he promised not to ever hit his kids, but is he any better? He asks Amanda. He also admits why he took Jamie to football, to toughen him up, but seeing him struggle and endure mockery made it unbearable. He regrets not standing up for his son when other dads and kids mocked him, and believes he failed him. Amanda recalls Jamie's ever-changing interests, from football to boxing to drawing, before he eventually locked himself in his room with his computer. They never thought he would do something truly terrible. As they thought he wasn't causing any trouble being on his computer, they also talk about Jamie inheriting his dad's temper, and how they ought to have cautioned him. They agreed not to blame themselves, finding solace in each other's comfort. Lisa interrupts their grief, trying to bring them back to the present. She insists that moving won't change anything. Wherever they go, people will eventually find out. She reminds Eddie that Jamie will always be part of their lives, no matter what. To ease the tension, she suggests skipping the cinema, rent a film, watch it at home, and order takeout instead. As Amanda and Lisa head downstairs, Eddie goes to Jamie's empty room. Overcome with emotion, he breaks down, sobbing as he tucks in a teddy bear lying on the bed. In that moment, he finally accepts the truth. His son is guilty. Quietly, he walks out, forever changed. Whew, what a show. I haven't cried this much since When They See Us. The performances, especially Stephen Graham's, were phenomenal. What an emotionally tragic story.